Hi everybody, it's Mike here from TwoDads UK. I cannot believe we are now at our season finale. So this has been a real journey, not only for me and the guests that have given up 15 minutes of their time, but the overwhelming response from you guys watching it has just been adorable. So thank you for keeping me busy. Thank you for watching them and sharing them. Today's a real special episode for many reasons, and I'm sure you're going to soon discover that as well. I wanted this season to be to finish on a high, and this particular guest is definitely got a super crush on this woman in terms of the work that she does and the campaigning that she does. So this is the intro for this amazing human being. So Jessica Hepburn is one of UK's leading patient voices on fertility, infertility, and the science of making babies and modern families, just like mine. Having been through 11 rounds of IVF, she has become a pioneer in raising awareness of what it means to struggle and to create the family you long for, and how to live to as brave as what she possibly can when life doesn't go to plan. In February 2014, Jessica published a book about her experience, which was called The Pursuit of Motherhood, and you've probably seen us share little clips from that previously. It became an Amazon bestseller and encapsulated her into the limelight as one of the first people to openly talk about infertility. Fast forward, and this woman never seems to stop. She now has her second book, which is 21 Miles, which is Swimming in Search of the Meaning of Motherhood, which is published in May 2018. And there's more to come from this fabulous human. Now, I am privileged to say that we have worked with Jessica Hepburn with Fertility Fest, which took place last year. But I am honoured and privileged to be joined by this wonderful, wonderful human being, Jessica Hepburn.
I shake my head at this point because I there's no way that I can live up to that intro. I'm just going to be a disappointment.
Never. Honestly, you dip my cap and everything. You know, I think it's this is. You know, for those of you that haven't heard your journey or read your books, then we're going to get a bit of a snippet of your life and the fabulous work that you're doing. But we met back on the 2nd of October 2018.
I can't believe you actually remember the date, Mike.
I know, I'm weirdo. And that was in Leeds, and we were both speaking at an Insights conference, which is a fertility conference. And I had the horrendous job of following you after you spoke. You brought me to tears, as did I think the majority of that room, with telling your story, which we'll hear a little bit in a moment. And I think it was you read a piece, The Pain of Never, which was taken from your second book, 21 Miles. And you know, you've been on an absolute mission since forever, whether that's campaigning, writing, swimming, climbing. It's just endless. I wanted to know, really, Jessica, what's been keeping you going and kept you striving the way that you do?
Yeah, well, I mean, you mentioned the 11 rounds of IVF, so let's start with that. I mean, I was 34 when my partner and I started trying for a baby. I was running a big theatre in London, the Lyric Hammersmith, and I thought making the decision to have a family was the hard bit. But in reality, what then happened is that we, after a year of trying, nothing happening, we got a diagnosis of unexplained infertility. And then that was the beginning of what became this decade-long struggle that involved multiple miscarriages and an ectopic pregnancy I nearly died from. And then, exactly as you say, what sort of happened next is that I started writing about these experiences. And at the time, I really couldn't find a book that I wanted to read that sort of was telling the story that I was going through. And so that book came out 6 years ago, The Pursuit of Motherhood, which you mentioned. And then the next thing that happened is that I had been through my 11th round of unsuccessful IVF, and I felt that I needed to do something different. And that was where when I decided I wanted to swim the English Channel, which was,
as you do.
yeah, part childhood dream, part midlife crisis. But because I wasn't a swimmer, hate exercise, hate the crawl, I then ended up swimming the Channel. It was an amazing journey. It changed my life. My second book is partly about that story, and then I two other sort of big milestones were that I set, using all my arts experience, I set up this festival called Fertility Fest, which you and Wes were involved with last year. Which is the world's first arts festival dedicated to fertility. So artists, theatre makers, dancers, filmmakers, writers, visual artists telling stories about modern family making. And then my latest thing, and in fact right now, it was that I decided that I wanted to climb Everest and become the first woman to ever achieve the Pond to Peak Challenge, which is swimming the English Channel and climbing Everest. And I should be on Everest right now.
No.
I know, and I actually, weirdly, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, you know, like there is something bigger in the world going on. And so that sort of feels insignificant. And I actually don't think about it too much, but I would be probably about to summit right now. So it's brilliant that we're hopefully summit talking right now. Yeah. And the thing that's kept me going through all this, you know, doing all these things is that, you know, I'm never going to get over what I went through. It was really, really hard part of my life, and it has defined who I am. And it will always be part of me. But I suppose, and this comes into this thing that you mentioned in the intro about living big and bravely, that I sort of believe everyone has something sad in their life or difficult in their life. And this is my thing. And you've got to do the best to make the most of that sad thing, live the fullest life you can. And that's sort of what drives me forward.
Amazing. I'm gutted you're not up that mountain. I've followed you and watched you, you know, doing your exercise, you know, you're getting fit. You were, every moment I saw you on social media, you was up a different hill or climbing something else, or you were in the gym, and I was like, oh, this is going to be epic. And then this happens.
Yeah. It's like the Olympic athletes, you know, who's supposed to be at the Olympics this summer. You've been training for something for 4 years. And just hope, you know, the mountain will be there next year. Hopefully.
Well, I think based upon all of that, you know, you, anyone that is watching this that does know Jess or Jessica, or that is in the circle, you'll know that Jessica does not stop. Like, and Jessica responds really well on email, which I've really learned, because more than often than not, the phone's probably in her hand. And because of how busy you are, and whether it's planning or supporting or helping or campaigning or lobbying, how have you found lockdown with going from 100 miles an hour to stop? How's that been?
Well, like, I want to preface what I'm about to say by, if I feel anything negative about it, it's mainly guilt that people are working so hard and going through some of the hardest times of their life. But actually, for me, if I'm really honest, I've been forced to stop and slow down for the first time in my adult life. If this hadn't happened, and we might go on to talk about, you know, like what we can all take from sort of my sort of emerging philosophy about what I think we all need to take from what we're going through. But if this hadn't happened, like, I don't think I would have ever stopped. And it's been so useful for me to have some time to reflect on all those things that have happened to me and that I've done over the last 2 decades, you know, and think about, well, what do I want the next decade of my life to look like? So it's been positive, but definitely a totally different change of pace. And actually, talking about being good on email, I've become really bad on email.
Have you?
Yes, I think I emailed you and said that the other day. Sorry for taking 2 days to reply
No,
because
that's good. That,
you, I'm right on it. Yeah. Anyway.
no, that's good. I know you're bad on text, but you're good on email.
Yeah.
And
If anyone wants to get hold of me, email is the thing. Definitely.
yeah, and I think Gabby gave me that advice. She was like, if you ever need her, just emails the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's ramp this up. Let's talk about what lockdowns, or I guess what people get up to in lockdown. I know if you're me, no, this is just shocking. This is my afternoon. I know. It's terrible. It's terrible.
You told me that it was like
I know. I should.
online.
So I want to do some quick fire stuff with you. So I want to, for lockdown, for many, it's that time when you reflect, or when you plan, or when you watch, every single box set on Netflix or whatever. I've been Gangs of London was my thing, and me and Wes have just watched all of that. Phenomenal.
Say that again.
Gangs of London. Oh my word.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you a number of categories, and just either the first thing that comes into your head, or you can think about it. That's fine too. So your favorite film to smile to?
Well, listen, I actually prefer films to cry to, if I'm really honest.
Okay, we can cry.
But and actually, staying on the fertility theme for a moment, and because I just promoted it last week, there's an amazing film that you can watch on demand that came out last year called Only You.
Oh my gosh!
We've seen it about going through fertility treatment. It's actually definitely the best cinematic version of that story that I've ever seen.
I agree.
But I suppose my feel-good film, we often go back to our youth, don't we, for these things, would be Bugsy Malone.
Oh, love that.
That definitely, yeah.
And that's why our dog's called Bugsy, because we've got Tallulah.
Oh, real? Brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Yeah. Love. I was Tallulah. Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Are you going to give us a little song?
Definitely.
Favorite box set or series?
Well, actually, I've really got into the box set that has been another joy of this lockdown. I'm actually watching The Crown at the moment, which I haven't seen, but my sort of, again, this is actually a bit of a feel good. I watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Have you seen?
No.
Which is, it basically didn't get huge audiences, but the critics loved it, and it is definitely, first series will make you smile. I highly recommend Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Okay.
The Crown I love. I'm a massive fan of that. It's just a stunning thing to watch.
Yeah. Great.
Favorite TV show?
Weird parallels with what's going on at the moment.
Oh God, yeah, really weird.
Sort of early series, incredible.
Yeah. So TV show.
Oh, I discovered this actually on BBC iPlayer. I just watched a series called Pilgrimage, which is about a group of celebrities doing the Sultan's Trail, which is this massive walk from Vienna to Istanbul, and it's a multi-faith walk, and they were all from different faiths. And what I've discovered is that I absolutely love long distance walking, and I really want to go, and I want to walk the world, basically. That's what I want to do next. And highly recommend Pilgrimage.
Okay. That's I'm gonna scribble that one down.
I'm sure.
Okay. Book.
At the moment, I am reading something that's quintessentially English and that I'd never read before, P.G. Wodehouse, which is also the Jeeves and Wooster stories. So if you sort of want to hark back to a romantically English time, I'd recommend that. But I would have to say that my best reads over the last couple of years, I've been sort of reading books, authors that I've never read before over the last few years. And I have to say, you cannot beat Jackie Collins' Hollywood Wives and Jilly Cooper's Riders for a sort of page turner. Yeah, I'm sorry. I love them.
I would have never have put you down as one of those.
Well, I know I have very eclectic taste, so
you do.
But yeah, pleasure.
Album or artist?
Well, music is a really massive part of my next book. So I'm thinking a lot about music at the moment. So I have like huge numbers of playlists. So again, like literature, I have very eclectic taste. But I have a playlist which is called my happy playlist. And it's basically every track that, like, to be on that playlist, the moment it comes on, you have to smile. And so it's got things like Morecambe and Wise, Bring Me Sunshine, or Bobby McFerrin. Oh God, what's the I can't remember. Don't Worry, Be Happy, or Kermit the Frog, Rainbow Connection. So yeah, that's my top playlist for happiness at the moment.
Cute, love that. Podcast.
Well, again, this is to sort of do with my next book. I'm listening to Desert. I'm basically listening to.
Can you tell us about this next book or not?
Yeah, well, I don't want to say too much because it's still in the early stages. But I basically, as part of the research for it, I'm listening to Desert Island. It's all the podcast. It's the longest ever radio show. A running radio show in the UK, and so there are over 3,000 episodes, and I'm about 1,500 episodes in. And if anyone wants a recommendation from a recent thing, if you haven't seen Ian Wright's Desert Island Disc, the footballer, I highly recommend. And if you want something that's sort of really emotional from a fertility perspective, I'd really recommend Lily Allen's Desert Island Disc.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've just scribbled them both down. Final part of this question. Final part, guilty pleasure.
Oh, it's got to be to do with food. Crisps.
Are you a crisp person?
Oh my goodness, yeah. I'm a canapé person, basically.
Are you?
Well, I'm an all food person, but my desert island food would be cold drink and canapes, crisps.
Yeah, mine would be a cold drink for sure. A cold beer served in a cold glass.
Yeah. Oh yes, from the freezer. Do you want a glass? Oh, absolutely.
And my snack would have to be a pork pie. I can't stop eating pork pies.
Oh, I do love a pork pie. Yeah.
I know. Wow, I want pork pie. Okay, so you you unknowingly put most of us to shame with the width and breadth of what you do, and I would like the listeners and the viewers to see and hear top 5 Jess's successes.
I could. Well, A5 is feels like loads.
Sorry.
Do you know what? I hope this isn't a cop out of an answer, but I just hope that the biggest success is still to come. I don't know what it is. And but when I look back at the life that I've led to this point, despite having, sadness and regret, of course, we all have regrets about like if we've done things differently. I'm sort of overall proud of the life that I've led. And I think that's a good feeling. And the things that I've done. So that's a good. But I hope my biggest success is still to come.
Still to come. Good. But well, you're not short of things to do. So I'm sure if that's coming, it's there for you.
Being on Desert Island Disc, that would be good. That would be like pinnacle. Like if I get on there, amazing.
Okay, I'm sure. Well, let's pray to the universe that happens. We discussed at the beginning, and it kind of how we got to know each other better was Fertility Fest. Which obviously we've had the privilege of being there and seeing all of the other incredible artists that brought it all together. And 2019 was a crazy year for the festival. Again, tell everybody a little bit about that and what were the highs of that?
Oh, I think the sort of biggest, Well, that is something I'm really proud of, because I think the big thing is that I had this idea for an arts festival, sort of to unlock the experience of fertility and infertility in IVF. And within 3 years, it had grown from what was a 2-day festival, 1 day in Birmingham, 1 day in London, to an international festival. It was last year, it was 3 weeks at the Barbican, you know, world-class arts centre. It was also in Vienna, Manchester. So the sort of growth was exponential, and that was extraordinary. And also, I think the other thing that it really did, and that I'm really proud of, is that it's sort of given, not all our artists and artists are patients, have been through treatment, but a lot of them have. And I think it gave a voice to patients that didn't, because the arts are a really powerful way of doing that. And you're often vulnerable when you're going through treatment, and people don't understand the emotional impact. And I think it really sort of unlocked that. And we've seen changes in the industry as a result of that. And not least, like, more and more patient advocates like yourself and Wes, do you know, like, you know, we've seen a real, like, rise in that. So yeah, so I'm really proud of the festival. Yeah. And last year was the icing.
And so you should be. It was it completely, and I think what was so beautiful about it is that for those that may be on a trying to conceive journey, or for those that have come to the end of their journey, it brought the familyness of it all, and the community element. It was just, you're in a room full of people that have walked in your shoes, and that have had similar heartache, and that they don't know what's next for them. And it was just so lovely to be in a room full of people who haven't yet realized their dreams and don't know if they ever will. And it was just so wonderful that you put all that together.
And you know, don't you, that, like, you've had an amazingly happy outcome, you know, two amazing, well, I know you've got 3 children, but 2 amazing children as a result of this science. But you know that it's a roller coaster. It's not smooth sailing, and also that it has defined you as a parent, and you know, defined you. It never goes away.
No.
So, like, and I think you're absolutely right. That sort of sense of community, that shared experience in a room, in a live setting, you know, watching people tell, you know, the stories that you've been through in beautifully creative ways is just so powerful. So it's been an amazing thing.
Good. And thank you for everything that you did with Fertility Fest. I think it's wonderful. And so finally, before I let you go, we're entering that new phase of that new norm now, and you know, the world's looking very different. It's still don't quite know how it's going to be, but you know, things are starting to pick back up in whatever description or whatever guise that will look like. What's a post-lockdown life Britain for you?
I think on a macro level, Mike, it's really difficult to tell, you know, and I think this is actually, to be honest, if you are a fertility patient, I mean, all everything that I went through, and I'm sure you went through, prepares you well for an environment where the future is out of you, or the end result is out of your control. And that is a situation we're in. We still don't know whether we're going to get the virus, whether our loved ones are going to get the virus, whether, you know, how they will cope, or we will cope with that. And of course, the big question about what's going to happen with the economy. And, you know, I think all I would say, and this sort of harks back to something I sort of touched on earlier, is that this is an extraordinary thing that we've been through. You know, like, you and I have never been through anything like this in our lifetime. The only people who've experienced anything similar are the people who are still alive, who went through the war, in a way. You know, like, you have to, my conclusion is that you have to work out what this has meant for you as an individual, and what it's taught you about yourself, and what you want from your life. and then use that to inform what you do next and how you live your life.
Mm-hmm.
Within, the wider circumstances we find ourselves in. And, like for me, I've actually realized that stopping and slowing down and having quite a nice time is actually a really positive thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have ever done that, as I said earlier, if I hadn't been forced to. And so I now need to take that knowledge that's inside of me now and take that into the rest of my life. And that's what I intend to do.
Good.
What about, can I ask you, what about you? What's it taught you?
It's similarly, it's taught me to slow down, and it's taught me to be less reactive, because I'm very much a reactor and a bit of a slave to my email. I will drop everything and respond, and then I think, we should have had a bit more time to digest that opportunity, or so it's taught me to I've discovered a different creative side to me that I didn't know was there, because I've had more time to think and plan, and I'm really enjoying that. I've had more time with the kids, and Wes and I both said most people it's hard when you're in your partner's pockets, but we've actually really enjoyed it, because it's helped us work on a different part of our marriage that we didn't know needed repair. And I think our relationship is stronger.
Yeah.
And our parenting style is actually more in sync than what we thought.
Yeah.
So that's been great. I think from a work point of view, though, it's taught me to prepare for what's coming next. And someone said something to me recently, and it's really resonated with me. And it was Leon Taylor, actually, the diver that was on an earlier session.
Yeah.
And he said to me, what this pandemic is teaching us is it's teaching us that when the tide goes out, it's revealing those people who are swimming naked. And what that means is it's teaching either those businesses or those individuals that just aren't prepared and are shocked, when what we should be doing is getting ready and future-proof and foolproofing ourselves and our businesses for the next phase of how life is moving. So for us, it's just ensuring that we're far more interactive with tech, that we're developing a new product as part of TwoDads, which is going to be very tech-based. And I think it's just completely taught me to slow down and to think before I action, I would say.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Thank
and
you.
Then you both have champagne on a sunny afternoon.
Yeah, it's taught me to open champagne from like 2 p.m, which isn't good.
The world is better with a glass of champagne.
It is. Amen. Look, Jessica, thank you so much. I know it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving some time to talk to us. I'm sure everyone's thoroughly enjoyed this. Thank you for finishing off our season 1. Just been an absolute joy to talk to you. Lots of love, and take care.
And you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye, darling.
Bye.
If you like what you've seen so far, head over to our website at www.twodaddies.co.uk. There you can read our blog and subscribe to our newsletter. Or find us on Facebook and Instagram, simply searching at twodads.u.k.